We are not alone in this world. We are being watched. Join me on Animal Paranormal Live.
Hey, this is the ghost host Sophia Temperilli, and you are watching the Animal Podcast Show.
Hey, welcome. You're on Animal Podcast Live. Thank you for joining me. It's been an amazing week. And right now I'm like looking at my window and it's like a monsoon. Seriously, it's like a storm, hurricane out there. But let's have some fun. Hopefully I won't lose no internet or anything like that or get flooded out. So just want to thank you for coming out, watching my shows. This is my second episode. It's been a very long time since I've done these shows. It's been a few years, but there's a certain guest that I have backstage right now that we've actually talked a lot. She was on my shows a few years ago, actually maybe more than a few years ago. I'm sure you know Sophia Temperilli. She's been around investigating for a very long time. She's going to be telling you some amazing stories from, being with ghost adventurers and her times of just paranormal investigating. But very excited to have her on the show, and let's get her on. What's up?
Hey, thank you so much for having me on today, Joshua.
No, thank you. How are you doing? How's it been? It's been a while. I know we talked backstage a little bit and talked about, what's going on in your life. So why don't we, first, before we start, I just want to thank everybody for listening and for chatting. If you want to ask any questions to Sophia, please just chat in the comment box and ask her anything. I'm sure she'll answer you. So how's it been?
It's been good. I'm super excited to be back. You're right, it has been a while. It's great just to be on radio shows and get to talk about the paranormal again. It's just a lot of fun.
Yeah, I remember you were saying, I think it was a long time ago when we had this chat that you said your house was haunted, and we had a whole bunch of conversations about that and about your experience with ghost adventurers and just a whole bunch of things. Actually, before we even talk about that, let's talk about like how you got into the paranormal. I know we talked about it before, but I'm sure there's a lot of people new on this show tonight listening and want to know more about you. So if you could like just tell us like how you got into this field and what made your passion for it.
Of course. So I think I've had experiences from before I can remember. So I really think the paranormal has been with me my whole life. But I actually started investigating at the age of 8. I went on my very first ghost hunt on a tour on the Queen Mary with a psychic named Peter James, who was known from a show called Sightings. My parents, they were looking for something to do for their 10-year wedding anniversary. And of course, the most conventional thing to do is look for a ghost hunt. So they were looking at things on the Queen Mary, and they saw that Peter was hosting the tours, who they loved watching when he was on Sightings back in the 90s, and they were dating. So they decided to go on the paranormal tour for their anniversary. And I was like, why can't I go? I was like, why? I was just like jealous for some reason. And so my parents are like, okay, So they wrote Peter, because he gave out his personal email at every tour, and they said, hey, Peter, our 8-year-old daughter wants to go on this tour. Is it safe for her to go? And he said, there's over 500 ghosts on this ship, and all of them are my friends. Of course, bring her along, and we'll have her call out to Jackie in the pool area. And I went, and I had the first paranormal experience that I can actively remember. And I just fell in love with the paranormal, and I've been here 17 years now and started my radio show at 12.
8 years old. You said it was on the Queen Mary?
Yes.
How scared were you? I'm sure that was being on a ship, because like if you think about it, like because I'm a paranormal diver, and I do shipwrecks underwater. And just going underwater in the shipwrecks in the dark with just a flashlight, it's pretty scary. But just like as a 8-year-old child, like how was that for, like your first experience?
Well, thankfully the Queen Mary is not underwater. Maybe soon, depending on how the city takes care of it. But so it definitely wasn't nearly as creepy as anything you've seen underwater. I wasn't scared, to my knowledge. I honestly was just like I had seen something in the window, and I couldn't tell if it was a reflection or not. It was in the Sir Winston's restaurant. I saw a face in the window, and they had this fabric behind where you sit. So I was trying to figure out, like, is it fabric reflecting? Is it not? But it was only in one specific area. So I told Peter after the tour, and he believed I was possibly seeing the ghost of Captain Stark, who died on the ship, because he was known to hang around Sir Winston's. But it didn't scare me. Honestly, I was like kind of really fearless as a child. I don't know what happened now. I'm like scared of everything. Not like in the paranormal. I'm just like, I don't watch horror movies and stuff. Like I'm not. You're not gonna find me at Not Scary Farm.
I was just talking about a horror movie. I was just watching with my kids for the first time. They were watching Paranormal Activity.
Yeah, I've never seen that. Like, I literally, like, stuff like that I can't handle. So, like, you won't catch me at, like, Universal Horror Nights or Not Scary Farm and stuff. So, but, like, as a kid, like, stuff just didn't bother me at all. Like, I would go on, like, at this pumpkin patch, they had, like, a really tall slide, and I was apparently, like, 1 or 2, and I would just keep going on the slide and, like, throwing myself down it, and my great-grandma was like, oh, she's not going to be scared of anything. And I was like, gee, I don't know what happened there, because I'm definitely not that way as an adult.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Yeah, I would definitely love to check that out. That's one destination that I've been wanting to check out for a long time. There's a lot of crazy places in California, I'm sure. Dan, have you been to any other crazy sites down in California?
Yeah, I mean, one I bring up a lot is the Glen Tavern Inn in Santa Paula, California, but that's a really awesome location. It's kind of just like out of the ordinary in the specific location it's in Santa Paula. But also, I mean, I had another one of my craziest experiences there, completely not investigating or anything, just walking around. So it's just one of those really great locations where you can have stuff happen even while you're not investigating. And yeah, I mean, I've gone to the Omen House. I've been to Linda Vista Hospital. I didn't really get to investigate there because I was, I believe, 12, and the psychics were like, yeah, you can't go past this point. It's really bad.
Wow.
My parents got to spend the night on Alcatraz. They didn't let me go, so I was very upset. I was also 9.
That would have been an awesome place to go to.
Yeah, I'm like, the Boy Scouts spend the night there. Well, why can't I? And they're like, no.
Why not?
Yeah, I will never know if Mob of the Dead is as accurate as they say it is, because I would have never been. So I've been to places like that. I'm trying to think. There's like other places too. I went to like an undisclosed warehouse, the Haunted Heritage Square in Orange County, La Prisma Mission. That's in Santa Ynez, I think. So I've been to some places like around there, more just like kind of innocuous places, not like I tried to investigate this one abandoned it was like a poor farm, and it wasn't an asylum, it was like maybe a rehab or something, but it got condemned due to a fire, so the city wouldn't let us.
Wow. What about the I know one place I went to I think it was in LA. It was the Hollywood sign, and up there, just climbing up that mountain to that sign, it felt very weird up there. I don't know if you've ever had any experiences up there. I've heard some people maybe committed suicide there or something like that. There's a lot of stories about the Hollywood sign being haunted.
Yeah, I have heard it's haunted. I believe an actress in the 1920s or 30s threw herself off of the building. I don't remember why, but I was looking it up recently. I did investigate the Millennium Biltmore during an event up there, but I have not been to the Hollywood sign. I'm not much of a hiker, so I kind of stay away from hiking trails.
I think when I went, it was very cold. It was in the winter time. It was cold, and I don't know why we walked up there, but it was fun. It was definitely a trip, and it was definitely had that strange feeling up there, like somebody was watching you.
Well, there's one place I haven't been to, but I was interested in going to. It's called Murphy's Ranch, and it's in the LA area. It's in like a canyon or something. I know it is like a little bit of a hike, but it apparently used to be like a neo-Nazi camp or something. But all of the buildings burned down except for the water tower. I think there might be like one structure that's graffitied, but I heard that place is pretty haunted, and it's in just kind of like a little isolated canyon.
Yeah, talk about canyon. My friend that used to live in California, he lives here now. We do investigating together, and he was telling me there's a canyon there where there's a bunch. I'm not sure if he said there was a bunch of train cars with a bunch of bodies in it, or it's a bunch of cars in the valley, and it's been there forever. No one's like covered the bodies. The bodies are still on the cars and everything. He said it's like creepiest. He said it's
That's
very
crazy.
haunted. He said he's been down there once, and it's like creepy, very eerie.
I don't know anything about that. That definitely sounds interesting. I've been to Black Star Canyon. I know that place is super long, so I don't know if that would be the same place. Because
I'll have to ask him, and I'll let you know. Yeah.
That one's a bit of a hike, so we went like a little bit and like turned around.
Yeah.
I'm not built for hiking, and I'm just not.
I'm all about the hiking. I love hiking. It's one of my favorite things to do, and do the crazy stuff.
I'm built like Gumby. Like I PE was not my strong suit. My PE teacher in middle school had a boy chase me because he thought it would make me run faster. It didn't. So it's just not my forte.
Oh man, that's awesome. Tell me a little bit about the history of. You said you had a haunted house. Are you still living in the same house that was haunted, or you're not there anymore?
No, thank God. We don't live there anymore. We moved out when I was about 11. So that house was built, from what I heard, in the 1940s. I think it had like one owner, and then my grandpa bought it sometime. I think so. My dad was adopted, like I was telling you before the show. So I think he came home from the adoption agency and lived in that house. And he lived there until he was about the age of 9. And his adoptive father was a paranoid schizophrenic. So he had to move out for his own safety. And then after my grandfather died, he died in the house, but he was not the ghost haunting it. My father inherited it, and then my parents moved in. And then the day I came home from the hospital, I lived in that house. And there were little things looking back that you could tell were strange with hindsight, but nothing that really made you go, oh, hey, this house is haunted. But when I was about 9, I started feeling like I was being watched constantly and everywhere. And it was just weird, but I didn't think anything of it. And then, oh, hey, April. Oh my gosh, April's great. That's one person I would love to investigate with someday.
Oh yeah, she's. What's up, April? How's it going? It's been forever.
Yeah, she's great. So yeah. Well, I love you too, April. So thank you for tuning in. But I just was going into my parents' bedroom, and I saw a man in my parents' closet area. And obviously I knew I'd been in the paranormal for a year at this point, and I didn't see him like a person standing there. So I knew it was a ghost, and I just was like, I went up to my mom and I was like, hey, there's a man in your closet. And she didn't know what to think. She didn't want to tell me I was wrong. So she just said, okay. And my dad's like, is there any coincidence? I wrote a book for a psychic, and now you're seeing a ghost. And then later on, my mom was putting on her makeup in her vanity area, which is where her closet was. And she heard 3 knocks from the inside of her closet door. And the activity just really progressed from that point forward. My parents grabbed a recorder that day, and we caught voices. And from that point on, we all knew the house was haunted, and it just progressed from there pretty quickly.
Wow, that's awesome. Crazy stuff. Yeah, definitely know about I know like with my house, like I have like those experiences at my house where I have stuff, just doors opening and just things happening, weird stuff all the time. Sorry, that's my child. if you hear like baby noises, that's my child in the background. So don't mind it. It's not a ghost. Even though my house is haunted, it's not a ghost. But or you might hear music in the background too. So
Sometimes the kids show music's a little bit scarier than the haunting.
well, it's kind of funny because like I'll go some of these paranormal investigations I'll go on
Mhm.
and I'll see dolls. I will not go in. If there's a room with dolls, I will not go. I was like, nope, sorry, nope, not happening. And I hear the kid music and stuff like that. And sometimes like I'll use the kid music in my like movies and stuff, like if I'm doing a horror movie and stuff like that. And I'm like, I creep myself out when I do that. And I'm like, why? Why do I torture myself?
Yeah, I know in the very beginning of my show, the intro music my dad put, I couldn't even begin to tell you the name of the song, but he put that Ozzy Osbourne song with like the children in the beginning and that like really high pitched thing, which like fit for like a 12-year-old show, but it's like also sort of creepy.
Speaking of creepy, just lightning. The lightning just flashed off my computer screen. I was like, holy crap.
It kind of reminds me one time I was on the Queen Mary with we were at an event. I was really young, and our psychic friend goes. Mind you, Psychic Chip Coffee's hosting a tour at this point in time, and our psychic friend Don Staggs goes, let's go under the stairs and do an EVP session. I'm like 9 or 10 at this time.
Yeah.
And so he's like, okay, you ask questions. And I mean, no, I didn't consider it. Neither did my mom, because we're not, we live with my voice, so we're not thinking about it. But Chip Coffee came over and goes, you gotta stop. Like, people are hearing a child talking, and it's literally you under the stairs. So everyone on the tour thought Jackie was talking, but it was because our psychic friend was like, you do the EVP session, and he bolted before Chip Coffee came to scold us. And I was like, oh, God. We were like, oh, my God, we didn't mean for that to happen. But, yeah, so I've scared quite a few people through the years as a child ghost hunter because they don't expect to hear a child just talking in the dark.
Okay, if I ever hear a hey, like, in like a dark, because I love the dark,
Mm-hmm.
That's where I get my peaceful time and stuff, just being in the dark. But when I hear that, I'm like gonna jump and crap myself, like literally.
Yeah, we did that once to teenagers. We were investigating with my parents and their friend at the time, and these teenagers came in the pool area, and my parents' friend goes, say mommy right now. So I just like it was like 10, so I was just like mommy, and those kids ran. They ran so fast out of there.
That would have been a funny prank.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, you can't pull that off anymore, but as a kid, you definitely could get some people just by literally doing nothing.
I'll have to hire some like kids and stuff, say, hey, just start saying stuff off the distance,
Yeah, so it's the downfalls of being a child and investigating. You're just inherently creepy while doing nothing.
Oh yeah, it's just being a child itself. It's like my little one, she'll like, because like I said, my house is haunted, and she'll be in some places and she'll start looking, including my dog. Like my dog will just like go off and like just stare, and like I'm like, what are you looking at? And then she'll point, and I'm like, what are you pointing at? I'm like, there's nothing there.
Yeah.
And then we'll start hearing like noises and stuff like that, or like we'll hear a woman's voice in the distance. We'll hear like knocking, scratching. We used to have this apparition little girl that used to follow us around, throw stuff off the wall. We actually had this apparition took stuff out of the refrigerator and put it in the middle of our floor with the door open. So it was like just like crazy stuff like that would happen, and it's like you just get used to that stuff because like you kind of grew up with it, and it's like, oh, that happened? Oh, no big deal.
Yeah, that's what I was saying too about having experiences from before I can remember. My parents said when I was like the age where like 1 or 2 where you can walk but not talk yet.
Yeah.
And I would stand with my back against the door into the garage, just frozen. I wouldn't obviously speak. I wouldn't move, nothing. I would just be frozen. And my grandmother remembers this. Everyone remembers it. And they didn't know what was going on. It happened for like a short period of time, so no one thought anything of it. But after realizing that we were living in a haunted house, we think I was seeing something. but
wow.
I don't remember any of this happening, and I was too young to communicate what was going on. So,
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I think the paranormal's just always been with me. And, when you're a kid, it's like, you have those experiences and you don't know how to articulate it best.
Yeah, it's and the older you get more into like not just paranormal, but cryptids, UFOs, just all kind of different crazy things that are going on in this world.
Yeah, and like my little cousin, my cousin married this woman, Kimmy. She's now my cousin, and she's also my best friend. So my best friend,
That's awesome.
her daughter, my little cousin, she I remember one time she wanted me to play with dolls, and I didn't grow up around kids. I was the youngest in my family until my little cousin was born. So I'm like, let's look at pictures around my room. You want to look at art? And she's like, yeah. And so I'm showing her this skateboard I have in my room that's like a haunted house, and I go, I have this because that's what I do. And she goes, do you talk to good ghosts or bad ghosts? And I'm like, why do you know that? Like, you're 4. You don't have anything to do with this. And I was like, um, it depends. I was like, not every ghost is bad, but if you see
Yeah.
one, you can always come to me. And her mom was talking to me recently, and she said that like my little cousin would like say, oh, this is where, because they have horses, they live with horses. She said this is where Turkey would hop over, which was a horse that they had before their daughter was born. And so she like would say things that she shouldn't know but did. So it's just weird like how kids kind of have that knowing, and they're just innocent enough to not realize that there's something off about what they're saying.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really crazy, man. Yeah, it's definitely an experience of a lifetime though. I know like my last show I had the Pac-Man Paranormal, and my experience, one thing that like really got to me in the paranormal that never happens, that you never get to see but like maybe once in a lifetime or in a movie, is we talked about, is when someone actually got lifted up in the air and slammed on the ground and grabbed, like almost kind
Wow.
of like a kind of poltergeisty kind of thing, that, but it's like it was very dark. I'm not saying it's a demon or anything like that, but like something that was very negative. But it was pretty interesting, like something like that that has the energy that could lift something like that, something that we can't see with our eyes, but it like happens in front of you. So it's just pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah, and that's the thing about the paranormal, is you never know what you're gonna get or what's gonna
No.
happen. So it's just like sometimes you can go to a place, sit there for hours, and get absolutely nothing. And it could be one of the most haunted locations in the world, and you go back 2 nights later and it's a different experience. Or you have one of the most active nights of your life in a place that's never been investigated. So it's just literally such a coin toss on what's going to happen at any given moment.
Well, it's like I tell people all the time if they're just starting out, because it's like you never know what's going to happen. It could, like, your first experience, something amazing could happen, or your first experience, nothing could happen. You'd be like, well, that was boring. I'm like, well, it's not always like, it's just going to come out when you want it to come out. It's just, it happens. And I always tell people, when you go on your first experience, don't worry about all the special gadgets and all that stuff. Always look with your eyes and listen with your ears, because that's the experience you're going to want. That's the tool you're going to need.
Yeah. And like I've said, I mean, a lot of the experiences I've had are, well, most, if you include the haunted house, I was not investigating. I mean, I'm not investigating my house. A lot of people think like, oh, did you investigate the house? No, I mean, I was 9. I was being stalked by this ghost. It was terrifying. I wanted nothing to do with him. So it's just one of those things where if you're going and investigating someplace that's super haunted, or even if it's not, you can have stuff happen to you. And I think a lot of people probably do have experiences and don't realize it, because as I was saying with my haunted house, we had stuff happen, but you just brush it off because it's like, oh, that was odd, but then it doesn't happen again. So it's just like, okay, well, there's probably some explanation I can't come up with, or you don't notice it because you're busy with normal day-to-day life. So a lot of the experiences I've had while investigating that are really strange or interesting, I didn't have equipment out. I wasn't asking questions. I wasn't even looking.
Wow. But if you are new in this field, anybody who is listening to us right now, just definitely be patient. That's the only advice I can give you is you got to be really patient to be in this field, because if you're not going to get anywhere in this field. Trust us.
Yeah,
um,
it's a lot of sit and wait.
and sometimes it takes a few,
Mhm.
Luckily, like me and we've actually experienced stuff when we're younger, and people that haven't experienced that when they're younger and they're just getting into it, like, oh, I've never seen a ghost before, but like, how do I see it? Just be patient with it, and it'll eventually happen.
Mhm.
Especially when you're open to it, it's the better. The more open you are, the better. The more
Yeah.
experience you can have. But other than that, like, one other things I want to talk about is like that we see a lot with you doing, especially on Facebook, I see is with Ghost Adventures.
Mhm.
Why don't you take us down that journey of your path with Zach and all those amazing cool guys?
Yeah, so my dad, when like I said, we went on the tour with Peter James when I was 8. And on the tour I went on, that was his final tour. He asked my dad to co-author his autobiography. So
Oh wow!
after he wrote that, we started going to a ton of paranormal events and promoting it. And through those events, I had met Zach and Aaron at one. They were super nice. I'd seen Zach at another event, so I've met him 3 times. But at one of those events, my mom had met Debbie Constantino, because my mom would bring like food and stuff, and so lots of people usually flock to the person with food. So my parents made a lot of friends through my mom, and she met Debbie Constantino. And
Wow!
when I was saying they spent the night on Alcatraz, they had only met once and talked once, but they got along pretty well. And so
Hmm.
Debbie had won the lottery for Alcatraz, and so you have to have a certain amount of people, so it takes the cost down on the lottery.
Yeah.
And so she invited my parents, and hi. And so my parents went on Alcatraz, and they became really good friends. Debbie
Yeah.
was my mom's best friend. They talked all the time. And so when it came time for Ghost Adventures to actually investigate on the Queen Mary, Debbie said, you have to have the Temperillis there. Like, they know the ship super well. John co-authored the book for Peter James. Like, you have to have them there. So they called us literally the day of shooting, and that was my very last day of freshman year. So I was getting the text message in my art class, hey, we're filming with Ghost Adventures tonight. And it was funny too, because I was talking to this guy who's into the paranormal, who sat at the art table I did, and he goes, oh yeah, they've done an investigation at the Queen Mary. And I'm like, no they haven't. And he's like, yeah they have. And I was like, no they haven't, because they're doing it tonight. Like, they have not done it.
Wow.
And so we got the call, and then literally went from a half day of high school to the mall to buy clothes, and pretty much got ready, left, and went and filmed. And yeah, the guys all signed my yearbook, which was super interesting.
Wow.
And it was just a really great night. It was the first time I
That's awesome.
investigated the pool area where it was pitch black, and it was like probably the craziest investigation I've ever been on, just with the
Yeah.
intensity from one of the spirits there. But it was a great night. I mean, they were all extremely nice to me. And it was just a really great experience. I had a lot of fun.
Wow. Now, is it like different between like how like in the the paranormal shows they like sometimes it's more acting than investigating stuff? How
Mhm.
was it with them? Like be able to have that experience. Like, did you actually get to go ghost hunting, or was there a lot of?
No, I was really lucky. We went ghost hunting. I know not everyone on there, a lot of them just get to tell their stories, but they actually had us do the investigation in the pool area. So what happened was we went on the ship. They were filming. So we got there. They were filming some of the reenactment scenes. So you saw some of the actors
Yeah,
walking by, so they could do the reenactments.
that must have been cool.
Yeah, it was interesting. And then we just kind of hung out in the room. They talked to us for a little bit, and then it came time to shoot. So we did the intro for the basically saying who we are and why we're there. And then we went pretty much straight from that just to the investigation. There was there was nothing, at least in my experience, there was nothing falsified about
Yeah.
that episode, and we got a lot of activity, a lot of really crazy EVP that I'm not sure made it into the show.
Oh, man.
They actually, that episode aired in October of 2014. And I think it was on air for about a year time frame. And then after Debbie passed away, they pulled a lot of the episodes, and that was one of them. And they started replaying it later on. So I don't have like the world's greatest memory of what they aired. But I think a lot of the EVPs were not put in the show because they were vulgar. They had a lot of cursing and explicit language, but they were they were extraordinarily clear. Like, they were really, really good EVPs that they caught. It was incredible. And I think I know the spirit who was doing that because he sucked, so I'm sure it was him. But yeah, it was really amazing night. We had a door open. I know that was in there. I was asking questions and a door opened. Zach went and checked. No one was outside opening the door. So yeah, as far as I'm aware, there was nothing weird. It was a standard investigation, and there was a lot of really crazy stuff.
Let me ask you this, because I know, like, I love Ghost Adventures. I'm a big fan of them. And I always love when Zach makes Aaron go by himself. And lock us up in the room there. And it's like, no, Zach, no, please. And he's like, no, you're gonna do it, because Zach doesn't want to do it. So he makes that. Did that happen?
No, he wasn't locked by himself. But I do recall, like, when they were going to film the intros. It was, so if you're on the Queen Mary, they have like dual walkways for the rooms, and they kind of have like an 8 shape, so you can walk back and forth between the two areas. And Zach was like, Aaron, we gotta film, and you just see him walking forth between the two hallways, and he was like trying to pull him in to film. And he was like running all over the place. So that was quite funny. But no, he wasn't alone that night. We all were. Hi, Michael. Thanks again for coming on my show, Michael, and I'm excited to have you on, Joshua. But no, he wasn't alone that night. We were all investigating there, but it was a lot of fun. And we went back. We're also friends with Aaron's sister, Amy Goodwin.
Oh, wow.
So we've investigated with her there, and so it's just it's a lot of fun to get to see the ship in different lights, whether it's just going on your own or investigating with, say, Ghost Adventures.
That's pretty crazy. Wow. That's some good stuff. What? Oh. I'm making sure she ain't buying like she's not spending stuff at the mall, because she has my phone, so she might like buy stuff.
Yeah. My other little cousin did that. She had my best friend's phone, and she had like stuff in an Amazon cart, and her daughter like bought all of it multiple times, and she was like, I gotta stop doing it.
And the funny thing is, she's like 2, and she's so smart, and she's like, she'll say these things like an intelligent person would say, and I'm like, where did you learn that stuff? And the preschool teacher always tells me, like, she's trying to teach the other kids this stuff, and tell them, oh, you need to put stuff away this way or this way. I'm like, what's up, honey? Oh, it's thundering. Oh, she's scared of the thunder. But
that can be a lot.
Yeah. But before we do go, because it's thundering and lightning here, and I don't want to get electrocuted while I'm on the computer. But tell us a little bit about your show, your show that you've been doing since I think you said it was 11. Yeah,
so I started at 12. I started basically nagging my parents at 11. Yeah, so after living in a haunted house, I just, I felt like there had to be other people around my age with those experiences. So I wanted to start a radio show, but I had never stuck with anything. So my parents were like, I don't know, that's kind of like a lot. And I think I probably bugged them for about 6 months. And the site founder of liveparanormal.com, Rob Sarek, he had been asking my dad if he wanted to host a radio show. My dad's like, no, that sounds like a lot of work. And so then they got to the point where my dad wrote Rob and said, look, I don't want a radio show, but my 12-year-old daughter does. Yeah, he said, sure, we'll try it out. And I'm here 13 years later. I didn't find anyone my own age with that, but I got to meet a lot of really incredible people through my show. My first guest was Alexandra Holzer, Dr. Holzer's daughter. And yeah, I met so many great people through the show, and it's been a lot of fun. So I just celebrated 13 years on air this month.
That's
and
awesome. That's
thank
really
you.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, so it's just been really cool to just get to hear people's stories and see how they started in the field, and so many similarities between experiences, or just what's similar and different about us as investigators, whether it's different investigating styles, similar experiences. So it's just been a lot of fun, and it's every Saturday on liveparanormal.com. You can listen to it on like Blog Talk, Spreaker, iTunes, and yeah. So that's pretty much my show. I interview a guest every weekend, like yourself this weekend.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm very excited. That'd be really awesome. Yeah, it's I think it's this Saturday.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I got to do two back-to-back shows like that. War Party Paranormal had me on, then I had them on. You had me on, now I get to have you on. So it's been really cool.
That's awesome. Hey, Brandy, how's it going? Yeah, that's really awesome. Tell before we head out of here, because my computer's kind of glitching on me because it's lightning storm. Let me if you could let the listeners know where they could find you and where they can listen to your show, and what's your Facebook pages.
So you guys can find updates about the show on the ghost host Sophia Temperilli on liveparanormal.com Facebook like page. I'm on Facebook, Sophia Temperilli, Instagram, Sophia Temperilli, Twitter at Sophia Temperilli with 1 L. You can also follow the show on Twitter at Ghost Host Show. You can listen to some archive shows on the Ghost Host Sophia Temperilli YouTube channel. There's archive shows on iTunes Podcasts, Spreaker, Blog Talk Radio, iHeartRadio, like a ton of other places. Like I said, it's every Saturday from 12 to 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 p.m. GMT. And yeah, I was recently in Ghosted Magazine too. Shout out to my friend April. So make sure to go check that out. I was also in Women on the Fringe, Groundbreaking Women in the Paranormal book, which is on Amazon. And I will be at the OC Paracon this October. I think we lost Joshua. Not really sure how to end the show on that one. So thank you guys for listening. I hope you liked this episode of the Animal Podcast Live. Not sure if Joshua will be back, but yeah, hopefully his internet does well. Thank you guys so much for listening. I will, check out Joshua on my show, by the way, this Saturday, the Ghost Host Show. Bye, guys.
Hey, what's up? I'm back. The Animal Podcast Live. Sorry, there's a big thunderstorm. I'm like stealing internet off my iPhone, so my router's down. I don't know what's going on. It's not popping up. Maybe something happened, but I'm back. I'm trying to get a hold of Sophia Temperilli, but um, I'm having a lot of technical difficulties because of this weather. I'm very sorry. I'm gonna try to see if I can get a hold of her, but if not, we will pick up maybe another day and reschedule. Sorry about that. I wish the storm wasn't. But hey, buddy, how's it going? It's been a long time. Thank you for who are watching the show right now. It's about 8:46, and looks like I'm not gonna be able to get a hold of. Yeah, my internet got fried, so for some reason I'm having a lot of technical difficulties. But I'm gonna have to get off here, and I'll try to contact her. Sorry about the show, but I hope you enjoyed what we did have here. But I'm gonna have to get off here because it's lightning really bad, and I don't want to get fried while I'm on a computer. So I hope you guys have a wonderful night, and we'll keep you updated on a rescheduling for Sophia. Again, I'm so sorry. This weather, it's Florida. If you live in Florida, you know how it is. It's bad here, especially during the summer. And hey, Trevor, thank you so much, man. Yep, it's lightning real bad, so it's literally flashing through my window. So I'm gonna get off here, guys. Hope you guys have a wonderful night, and stay tuned for my upcoming shows. And I will be on Sophia Temperilli's show this coming weekend, so don't miss out on that. And we'll probably catch up there on her show. So check it out. Peace.